Hello everybody. I wanted to make this video to show you how it is to play Charge Blade in this game. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be changing weapons, and some people may see that the Charge Blade, especially with the Savage Axe, is really cool to play, and they may want to jump on this weapon. Now, personally, I have watched guides, and most of the guides, they are explaining too much in a way. They're gonna tell you all the combos, but they don't really tell you how to actually play. It's like playing a tutorial for a fighting game. It tells you all the moves, but when you are versus a monster, you kind of not really have a game plan. Maybe there are some guides that they do that, but for me personally, I didn't find any of those. Now, I'm going to go to the training area and kind of summarize. I'm going to try to make this small video and summarize what I have learned now that I reached the end game. I'm not going to talk about armor because I'm pretty sure my build is bad. I haven't really watched anything. I have done all the things by myself. This is the equipment I have right now. So, the thing that I wanted to say here is the most important thing for me from all of the things that I have done is this. The load cells level to get it as fast as you can, especially if you're new. This definitely gonna help you a lot, because when you're doing a combo, right? You're doing a combo here, you have red, now you have immediately shiny charge, and that is huge because you can do like a combo, a whole combo, and then you immediately have the full buff, full duration, which is something that not many people really said in the videos I watched. They talked about in general, but they didn't really specifically say this. So as soon as you can, I would advise to do this if you are someone that is new as me. Now, another thing. How do you kind of play around the monster when you are trying to get first into the wounds? Because not immediately the monster is gonna have wounds, right? So you can get this move, not immediately this is gonna happen. So what I have been doing is that I'm just charging into the morph slash when I have the chance, and I just do this to the most viable point that I can see the monster that has. And with the charge, like if you have also the sealed buff, you can do this, which is something that maybe you don't want to do because it uses all the slashes, but it kind of builds up the thing that we want. And that is really the main thing, because I tried to see the combat outside of this, and it was actually not easy. Because your slashes, yeah, they do some damage, but from when I was playing Greatsword, this was not really something that you would say, oh, this is great, this is, you're keeping the damage. Not really. So that is the way that I figured out what to do. I was just doing these, usually just spamming AED, okay? And you don't have to do like the follow-up to this. Pretty much that. And when I actually have the buff, what I will usually do is that I will just do this big combo. If I have time, I will just like continue the combo that does the element discharge after that. So this is pretty much the thing that I wanted to talk about, like for just some simple things, because when you watch a video that is 20 minutes, it doesn't really try to set you off to go and fight. It tries to teach you the whole weapon, which is not something that you need immediately. Something else that I want to show you is that is very deceptive, because I don't know if you have played other games like maybe, I don't know, Elden Ring or something like that, you may think that your shield can kind of block everything, and there are some buffs that say you can now block things that you normally can't, and that is not really the reality when you are trying to do that. So I'm trying to like kind of show the perfect guard thing, how it works, right? So you wait for the attack and on possibly the last moment, and then you press your triangle button, whatever it is, or Y on the Xbox controller. And that is pretty much how you do this. Now, the thing is, you may do this on the dummy and be like, okay, I'm ready, I'm going to the monster. And there are so many monsters that this, you actually cannot really do it. So the actual way that you're trying to do this is mostly by trying to create wounds, right? So when you have a wound like this, you are getting immediately the Savage Axe buff. And now with this buff, you're like, okay, I have the buff, and you start fighting the monster, and the more you use the Savage Axe like this, because you hold the button, when you don't just press the button, because if you just press it, it does this. If you press it and hold it, it does all this extra damage, which is what you want, right? So you keep doing this, right? If you want, you even do the follow-up to that. Well, I could stand. But this is pretty much what you want to do ideally, especially if you have a monster down. You want to do this. That is what you would want to do. You move along and you're just doing slashes, trying carefully to dance around the monsters while you're doing this. And then you're occasionally going to see that you're going to have more wounds popping up. Now, I started doing this, and this got me a very bad place. Because I was trying to do this not really as DPS, but I was thinking that, oh, I'm going to open them again anyway. I will suggest to be more conservative with how you do the wounds, because unless you're playing multiplayer, which you don't really care, you're just all 4 people hitting, it's whatever. But if you're playing alone, and you're trying to hold your buff as long as possible, and you're not confident that you can do the guards, because on some monsters, let me show you. On some monsters like this one, I'm showing this because it's the boss from the disc, so you kind of know it exists. Yeah, this is not really easy to do perfect guards outside of very small amount of attacks. And the thing that I learned from this fight, which lasted pretty long for me, it lasted like 20 minutes, so I know I did something bad. And what I did bad was I was immediately doing wound attacks. And what that ended up happening is that I was done with almost all the wounds that I had, and then I did not have a way to reliably get up my weapon buff. And I was ending up losing a lot of DPS because I was trying to focus to do, because I thought, okay, I will kill it as soon as possible, I will continue doing this, but then the buff ended and there was no more. He started spamming me with his very ranged attacks, and I didn't want to die. So, because I still don't really know this monster very well, I was trying to play conservative, and that ended up making a lot of mistakes, especially with his ranged attacks. I could not really tell the range to those attacks. So it was pretty hard, and to that I will suggest, especially with monsters that have these range attacks and they move a lot. I noticed it also in another dragon monster, big dragon monster, that was the case, that I would get situations like this, and I didn't like that I would have no weapon time at all. So at the start, if you can get a wound to get your buff, it's amazing, right? You go immediately for it. But leave 1 or 2 wounds, maybe move to another side, so you can have the weapon backup buff all the time. This may be viable for all the weapon guides, right? For all the weapons that they have some special thing, some special buff from doing the wounds. I will suggest it for anything that has such an effect. Now on this weapon, it does pretty well. So for me, I would say that it's pretty good idea to do this. And you see, like with 2 attacks, pretty good. Pretty good here. You immediately have the full charge and you can go. Because before, I was struggling, especially at the start. I didn't have loads like all this gem at all. It was actually really hard to do unless I would get a wound, or I was trying to get a perfect parry. Sometimes it's possible. Actually, it's not really that hard to get. You just have to time it right. But many moves are very deceptive, especially I found on some monkey monsters that they were doing charge attacks, they have delay. Those, I don't know. I could not really pull off the guard on those, and it was actually really hard to continue. And I was questioning myself. So, yeah, these are pretty much the tips that I have, like the game plan. You just like when you get into the savage mode, I'm not gonna lie, like when you get into the savage mode, you're kind of like god mode. And you just have to dodge around, make sure you don't get as much damage, and you do these attacks on places you see that it's vulnerable. Because if you do it, if you do wide damage, well, of course, you know this is not good at all. So you're gonna try and get the best damage possible, and that's gonna do very fast hands for you. And I mean, when you see this damage, when you see these moves, like this, like you are feeling so good. You are feeling so good about this game. So yeah, that is pretty much the reason I switched to this weapon from Greatsword, and I don't regret it because it's cool to play something new once in a while. So yeah, that is pretty much it. And also another thing that it kind of you will have to kind of get adjusted to this is that you will have to get adjusted to toggle off the mode, because most of the time you're going to be in this mode, you are more combat, and I feel like you're moving farther with this attack. You're moving farther ahead than normal with this attack. So it's pretty good if you're gonna like do a lunge attack, kind of like get in. But overall, I think that this weapon is like very fun to work with, and yeah, I hope this helped someone out there that they're making this weapon and they watch guides and they kind of got confused outside of like some very good combos that they're gonna tell you and everything like that. For me, this was really what I have extracted from all these guides and from the experience that I have playing the game. Now, for weapons and all of that, I will suggest you to just look at these guys because they know what they're doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. But for combat, I just want to give a few tips. Yeah, I hope it helps someone. Thank you for watching. See you next time.